Okay, hi Claudia. So nice to see that you've sent us more essays. Let's take a look at what you wrote here in the set. The topic is, it is too expensive to look after and repair old buildings, as money should be spent on modern buildings instead. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay, great. Experts throughout both, here you need an article. The developing and developed world have debated whether traditional or modern buildings no, it should be have because it's buildings, have a greater impact on our investments. This essay will discuss both ideas using examples from the Spanish government and Oxford University to prove points and to demonstrate points, prove arguments. Okay, so you're not supposed to just discuss both ideas. You can, but you really need to answer this question here. The question is very specific. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So that's what you have to answer in your introduction. This is really an important step if you want to be considered for a band 7. Okay? So that's the first thing. Then careful with your articles. I see some errors with them. So that's another thing I want you to be a little more cautious about. So next paragraph. On one hand, there is ample evidence that investing in traditional buildings has, because it's investing, has encouraged the city growth. This is awkward. Becoming a tourism destination. So let's try it again. There is ample evidence that investing in traditional buildings has encouraged the growth of cities into merely becoming a tourism destination. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, the most attractive place to visit are the city centers where the old buildings are. This fact demonstrates, with an S, that many people are searching for the place's history regarding traditional rather than actual. Or that's a little strange. We don't really say that, traditional rather than actual. Regarding maybe tradition rather than modernism, or let me try it again. This fact demonstrates that many people are searching for a place's history rather than its I don't know, maybe contemporary face, or its modernism, or it's maybe something like that would have been better. Secondly, the capacity of the zone is usually limited. This means that in order to build a new building, you should demolish an old one. For instance, recent empirical research from Barcelona, we don't say Barcelona government, we say the government of Barcelona. I guess related is okay. That almost 80% of the city profit comes from tourism, which they argued that they choose Barcelona for Gaudi's buildings. All right, this is again really awkward, Claudia. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say. You said that to build a new building, you should demolish an old one, and then you said that 80% of the city's '(S) profit comes from tourism. Okay, I see. Which they argued exists because tourists chose Barcelona for Gaudi's buildings. All right, it's still a little awkward, even though, I've kind of corrected the grammar. You could have broken this sentence up into two, like so. For instance, recent empirical research from the government of Barcelona related that almost 80% of the city's profit comes from tourism. Full stop. The government argued that tourists choose Barcelona for Gaudi's buildings. Okay? It must not, note 2, be forgotten that although it seemed that long-standing edifices give a lot of benefits, it was necessary to invest a huge amount of money to maintain the structures. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that all the waste of money that need a place, the culture, and hence the economic impact is higher. All right, grammar again, Claudia. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that although a building may require a great deal of money, not really sure what you're trying to say here. I thought I understood. Although the waste of money that need a place, the culture, and hence you can... okay. I think what you're trying to say is it is conclusively clear that although a great deal of money is needed to restore these buildings, the cultural and hence the economic impact are higher. I think this is what you're trying to say, but you can see I'm really kind of struggling with some of this grammar, okay? Okay. On the other hand, although there is a case for old buildings growing the national economy or increasing the national economy, buildings in new places... No, it's not buildings in new places. It's new buildings is what you want to say. Building or creating new buildings makes cities oversized. This is largely because new buildings are improved in environmental and cost terms due to its due to their use of alternative energy such as solar or wind instead of gas. An extensive study by Oxford University showed that hometown people tend, not trend, to move to the outskirts of the city, promoted by economic reasons. Consistent with this type of thinking is that cities, centers, you could have just city center, it would have been fine, are starting, ing, to become tourist places, and the population is moving to other places. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that building new edifices has, because it's building, has a considerable social impact on cities. I'm not sure I really understood what you're saying here. Are you saying that it's important to build new buildings instead of saving older ones? I'm not really sure. All right, I didn't find a clear central meaning here. Let's move on. From the argument examples given, I firmly agree that although in economic terms you need an it here, it is more efficient to invest in new buildings. Cities' history, this is strange. The history of cities is composed of all types of architecture, especially traditional buildings, which are the essence of each place. All right, so Claudia, we can see that there were numerous things that were good, but there were also quite a few that needed work. So I like that you used the template really well. In fact, a lot of those kind of expressions that were in the template, I saw them in your essay, and they really helped keep it kind of glued together. However, I saw a lot of grammatical mistakes. I saw a lot of areas that just I couldn't really understand because of the grammar. So there was a loss of coherence, okay? And I really want you to be careful about that. I had a difficult time understanding this paragraph, like what you were trying to say here. So that's something I want you to work on a little bit. I also really want you to revise some of this grammar. I think that it sounds to me like some of the stuff I'm reading is that you're thinking in one of, I don't know how many languages you speak, but I definitely feel an influence from probably your native language in here, because you're making some grammatical mistakes that are really not English, okay? So I want you to be careful about that. I want you to start thinking and maybe reading some more essays to see like what kinds of expressions are used. This is something that could possibly help you. And just revise some of the grammar issues that we're talking about here, okay? Let's move on to your task 1. All right, this is the shoe sale essay. The bar chart illustrates the shoe sales in 9 different European, not nationalities. Nationalities are what people are, like French, German, Irish, etc. But what you want to say is European countries or nations would have been okay. And then you mentioned them, and that was a good thing to do. Did you mention all 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. Regarding the total leather, Hungary achieved the highest number with, I don't know what that means, by roughly 145. Remember also that these figures are all in thousands. That's what these 3 zeros mean here. So talking about 145 is inaccurate. You should be talking about 145,000. I don't understand the sentence. So what does that mean, Belgium was slightly over 0? You're talking about total leather here. So I assume you mean both brown and black. But the figures that you're talking about sound like you're talking more about brown leather, right? So I'm really rather confused. Let's see. Although, you don't put a comma after although some countries spent more on brown, such as France or Poland, others preferred black, such as the UK and Belgium. The most significant difference occurred in Belgium, where almost, all right, here's exactly the kind of grammar mistake I was talking about, where almost all the shoes sold were black leather. Moreover, approximately 3/4 of shoes in France and Poland purchased were brown. Okay? And I don't really understand that because we don't have a 3/4 of what? So I'm really rather confused about this. We don't know the total number of shoes sold in France. We only have figures for brown and black. So this is not really an appropriate way to express this. Like I said, we're missing a lot of information. The only information we have is on 2 leather types. So we don't know that this is in fact 3/4. For instance, Ireland and Holland, the differences between both items were roughly the same, about 1/4. I don't understand what that means. It's not clear. I don't have figures. The difference between both items, which are the items? Are you talking about black and brown? And you're not giving us any figures, so I don't know what that means. Are you trying to tell me that, black leather shoes were about 25% less than brown leather shoes? Then maybe that would have made sense, but this is something that really is not clear. The UK, Hungary, and Italy were the places with the smallest items sales differences at less than 25%. I still don't know what we're talking about. I can't imagine the data that you're looking at. It's just not clear. Which is higher, brown or black? I'm not sure. And what do those figures mean? So to summarize, the graph shows the consumption or the purchases of each color of leather, not really each, there were just 2 colors, through different countries, the most marked being Belgium for black. All right, the most marked what? We don't know what that means. Additionally, there were the same number of countries that prefer brown. What does this mean? Than black leather. The same number of countries. I'm afraid I'm unclear on this. So again, we're having some problems with coherence. The language that you're using has a lot of inaccuracies, and so it makes understanding your central message really rather difficult. So this is something I really want you to work on, Claudia. Okay, go ahead and correct these, and let's see what you can give to us the next time. All right, good luck.